Well, I'm Owen Porterfield. I'm from Team 13, and my presentation is going to be on household air pollution from cookstoves in the developing world. So the problem. At the present moment, nearly 3 billion people, or 40% of the global population, rely on open fires and or traditional cookstoves for cooking and heating. The burning materials like wood, coal, animal manure, and charcoal for cooking and heating is commonplace in much of the developing world. This is what people living in these areas have access to. However, it's been proven that traditional cooking practices produce toxic pollutants such as carbon monoxide, black carbon, PM2.5, as well as soot and ash. Household air pollution has been proven to produce a vast range of serious illnesses in both children and adults, including lung cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, heart disease, and even blindness in adults, not to mention pneumonia and dangerously low birth weights in children. Worldwide, an estimated 4.3 million people died per year prematurely from illnesses associated with household air pollution. The people most affected by household air pollution are predominantly poor people living in rural regions of developing nations who have very little money or resources, and so they have no other option but to burn biomass in order to survive. These areas tend to be most concentrated in Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin and South America, and the Western Pacific Ocean, include countries like India, Indonesia, and Uganda, just to name a few. Um, developing countries, women and children are generally the most affected by household air pollution, as women tend to be responsible for domestic tasks like cooking and childcare in many of these cultures, meaning they're spending a large part of their day cooking inside unventilated houses, subject to household air pollution, and while they're watching their children, meaning their children are close by breathing in these fumes as well. Women exposed to household air pollution have higher rates of lung cancer, interstitial lung disease, chronic obstructive lung disease, cardiovascular disease, and are more likely to give birth to children who have low birth weights, often dangerously low birth rates. Um, this was found by this birth weights were found by multiple studies in 1997 in Guatemala and 2002 in Zimbabwe. Um, Environmental impact, it has a big environmental impact as well. Approximately 1 gigaton of CO2 per year, or 1.9 to 2.3% of all global greenhouse gas emissions, come from the burning of biomass fuel. These the gases emitted include carbon dioxide, methane, and most notably black carbon, a substance that's created through the incomplete combustion of biomass. A 2009 study suggested that black carbon could be responsible for over 30% of recent Arctic warming. As you can see in this picture, there's black carbon on that glacier. Luckily, black carbon only remains in the atmosphere for a few weeks after being released, meaning that reducing household air pollution could quickly lower the amount of black carbon in the atmosphere and have a pretty immediate effect on climate change, immediate aid. In addition to emitting greenhouse gases, biomass congestion has also contributed to deforestation in many developing countries. In parts of the world where people use wood as a daily fuel source for cooking and heating, forests are often cut down faster than they can be replenished, especially as the global population continues to grow. An estimated 1,645 million tons of wood are harvested each year for fuel, which is the equivalent of approximately 32,900 cruise ships worth of wood. In this diagram, you can see each cruise ship here represents about 65.8 million tons of deforested wood. In some regions of Africa, 90% of the total wood harvested is used as fuel, while this number can sit at 64% in Asia and 54% in Latin America. So a lot of the forests are being deforested in order to get fuel. So as far as solutions go, providing people in developing nations with clean burning cookstoves and promoting the transition to clean cookstove infrastructure among these nations' government is currently the key to solving the issue of household air pollution generated from biomass fuels. It's important to recognize, though, that different nations are in different points of development and have different access to resources. So ideally, the cleanest and most efficient fuels for cooking and heating are ethanol, biogas, and liquefied petroleum gas. However, for many developing countries, these products aren't realistic fuel sources on a large scale because they don't have access, first off, to the actual products, but as well as they don't have the access to things like electricity or all sorts of resources you need to make that a reality. So for this reason, advanced biomass stoves are the best option for the majority of areas dealing with cookstove air pollution. Advanced biomass cookstoves push the smoke and gas formed through incomplete combustion back into the fire, cutting toxic emissions by as much as 95% in best case scenarios. So a study done in Rwanda found that pellet stoves, basically using pellets as compressed biomass reduced the amount of emitted pollutants by roughly 90% compared to traditional three-stone fires. And more specifically, this included a 97% reduction in PM2.5 and 87% reduction in carbon monoxide. As you can see, these things, briquettes or pellets, are a lot of time required to burn more efficiently. So according to Project Drawdown, if policies promoting clean cooking are pursued on a global scale in accordance with the UN Sustainable Development Goal of universal clean access to clean energy, household air pollution emissions could be reduced by anywhere from 31 to 37 gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalents by 2050. So with that said, there is a good amount of challenges to implementing these solutions, the biggest of which would be the cost of manufacturing and supplying clean cookstoves to millions of people, as well as supplying communities with the technology needed to compress biomass into pellets or briquettes. As you can see right here, they're making briquettes, and here they would be distributing advanced biomass cookstoves. Project Drawdown estimates the net cost would be anywhere from 128 to $268 billion for clean cookstoves become a major reality on a global scale, which obviously is a lot of money. However, the World Bank has invested $130 million into clean cooking and heating that has provided about 11 million people in 13 different countries with access to cleaner and more efficient means of cooking and heating, meaning that if organizations and countries are willing to prioritize this issue and put the money into it, good things can happen. Another challenge is actually raising awareness of the issue in the developing world and changing behavioral patterns, which can be hard to do. Local initiatives have been the most effective in doing this because you can reach people one-on-one and kind of just tell them about the benefits of advanced biomass stoves, increasing ventilation, and health benefits. What you can do to help, you can donate to organizations like the World Bank, World Health Organization, Clean Cooking Alliance, among others, a bunch of them, to help invest in providing disadvantaged people with clean, safe, and cooking, heating alternatives. Also, you can help spread awareness of the issue and get others in your community to donate and spread the word as well. Thanks.